Martinez. I am the publisher and leader of Travelweek, a media company dedicated to getting you the information that you need clients. Today we have learning about North Carolina, beautiful destination with Atlantic coastline and beautiful Smoky Mountains, and tons of activities that I'm actually very excited to learn about. So before I introduce our guests, I'll just do a little bit of housekeeping. First, we really want to answer all of your questions. So if you can put any questions in the Q&A box below, we'll get to them at the end. And if you're having any technical issues, that's what we're going to use the chat box for. So you can go ahead and my technical person will help you out. And prizing, of course, we have amazing prizing. We have a great cookbook that we're going to draw for, and also a $100 Lululemon gift card. So to qualify to win, you have to stay all the way till the end. So I've been told that it's going to be a 30-minute presentation. So we'll get rolling with that. Hello, Costa. He is the account manager for Visit North Carolina. Hi, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Devin, great being with you. Thank you for having us today.
Go ahead, tell us about your destination.
I am excited to tell you about my destination. It's one of my, it's a destination that I truly love. So thank you again to Devin. Thank you to the Travelweek team for the opportunity today. My name is Kostas Miklas. I'll present myself throughout the presentation. We have a great prize to draw, as Devin just mentioned, and we'll get into it. So Visit North Carolina, a fantastic destination that I really want you to just, if you're not familiar with it, I really want to give you an overview over the next 30 minutes to hopefully will pique your interest, get you all excited about planning road trips for your clients and also for yourself this summer, and then finish it off with a couple of travel professional little tips at the end to help you sell North Carolina and actually make you commissionable, so definitely worthwhile for you. So we're going to take a road trip through North Carolina today, and then you'll see why we like to tag ourselves at exiting to a better place. Canadians like to drive through North Carolina. Some amazing exits to absolutely wonderful, rejuvenating land with gorgeous scenery. Everything from stunning mountains, vibrant cities, and pristine beaches. So we have everything from coastline all the way to from sea to sky, if you will. And we'll go over that over the next 30 or 35 minutes. So before we do so, I'd like to present a little video. We're coming out of this pandemic, finally. After just over 2 years of being at home. And I think a lot of us have been home with Crave or Netflix or all these wonderful streaming services and watching a lot of TV and almost hibernating in our living rooms and basements. Now we're trying to come out. I think this video is actually kind of cool. So showing ourselves coming out of hibernation and coming out to the beauty of nature and hopefully to the beauty of North Carolina in that nature. So a quick little short 30-second video here. I really like that video. It's actually, I find it super cute. Let me just hide my face here so you wouldn't have to be watching my not so pleasant face for the next 30 or 35 minutes or so. But I just want to show you a little that quick video. I think we all feel like bears in hibernation, coming out into the sunlight, into sunrise, into nature. Beautiful spring coming around. I was in North Carolina just a couple of weeks ago. And once again, my name is Costa. I'm the National Trade Director for Visit North Carolina in Canada. I'm based just north of Montreal, and I'm here for all your travel agent needs. But I'm here also to just show you a beautiful, beautiful state, as I mentioned, that goes from the coastline of the Atlantic all the way to the Wondrous Mountains and the Smoky Mountains and the Blue Ridge Parkway, and some beautiful, vibrant cities in between. And was in North Carolina just a few weeks ago with our team, and everything was already in bloom, so lush green in the middle of March. And right now all the flowers are coming out, and it's just wonderful how our gardens are coming to life. And when you visit North Carolina, hopefully, and you're planning a visit for your clients, you'll definitely feel transformed back to your better self, reconvening with nature, feeling recharged with our vibrant cities, hiking through our wondrous, wonderful mountains and our vistas that come to those mountains, and just breathing easier as you're exploring our sandy shores as well. And what I'm hoping to do today with you is take you through a little drive through North Carolina and going from the mountains through our Piedmont central area to our beaches, and just taking along our auto routes and showing you a wondrous and beautiful beauty that is quite diverse in its topography. So essentially driving through beautiful roads. Here's an image of our Outer Banks, which we'll get to a little bit later on, in our stunning dunes. And we have some incredible scenic drives, and because it's really just a drive through North Carolina, whether you're flying down and then renting a car or driving down from Canada, the drive is just as much as part of the experience as the actual experience in itself, stopping in our beautiful cities and towns. And we'll talk about the mountains today. And the mountains are, we'll look at the Blue Ridge Parkway, 252 miles through North Carolina's mountains, going from really quirky, wonderful city, I should say, of Asheville, all the way to Boone, and taking the Blue Ridge Parkway all the way through the Smoky Mountains, wonderful big towns, which are big on character. We'll look at the Piedmont region, which includes our two largest cities, Charlotte and Raleigh, the Raleigh-Durham area as well, which are definitely what you'd expect from an urban escape, blended with a hardened character you'd only find here, very typically North Carolina, with our wonderful, welcoming nature, I believe. And then just exploring art in our big cities, exploring history, amazing museums, wonderful food and drinks. So definitely one of the South's culinary capitals, with our pretty much, I'll be pretty bold here by saying we have the best barbecue in the South. So other state competitors could take that for what they will, but I do believe North Carolina is the capital of barbecue. You get to enjoy our wineries, our breweries, our golf, our natural attractions more in the Piedmont region. We'll also go over it in detail in a few moments. And then our coastal towns, anywhere from going down from the Brunswick Islands and New Bern and Wilmington, moving on up to the Outer Banks, and all the way up to, my goodness, to Corolla and through Cape Hatteras and the rest. You'll just discover an amazing amount of wonderful, wonderful experiences. And first off, let's just put ourselves in a little bit of a geographical situation, just situate ourselves. So North Carolina is right smack in the middle of right in the mid-Atlantic. So right just south of Virginia, north of South Carolina. So essentially a good tip for yourselves and your clients who may be snowbirds, we are pretty much halfway to Florida, which a lot of snowbirds love to do, and we have to be honest about that. Coming from Ontario and Quebec, we're pretty much halfway to Florida, so great stop-off point on the way down or on the way up, and definitely to experience, definitely a stop-off, but definitely to experience for several days on the way down and on the way up. But in itself, also an amazing destination to discover year-round with our wonderful weather, pretty comfortable winters, very warm and breezy and humid summers. So really, and spring right now, as I mentioned, is definitely in bloom. Driving down, you've seen the drive distances here: Montreal, 13 hours, Toronto, roughly 12 hours, our lovely, wonderful friends in Atlantic Canada, 17 hours. If not, if you choose, or your clients choose, I should say, to fly down, we're actually getting more and more access right now. Air Canada is currently flying daily out of Toronto, and they have been for many, many months, into Raleigh, so into Raleigh-Durham Airport, right in the middle of the triangle. And flights will be added from Montreal into Raleigh-Durham in the first week of June. And also we have flights from Air Canada from Toronto to Charlotte, which will be starting in June. And what never stopped is American Airlines flew from Montreal to Charlotte and Toronto to Charlotte, and they have been flying there since last fall on daily and multiple daily flights, as much as 4 a day from Toronto and 2 from Montreal. If not, if you're connecting from other points in Canada, easy, convenient connections on Air Canada through, or American through dozens of Canadian cities. And also another option, it's seasonal, but it's also a great option. If you see Wilmington at the bottom of the map here, just across the border from South Carolina, Porter from Billy Bishop Airport are fly seasonally between March and mid to late May into Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, literally, you cross the border within 10 minutes, you're into North Carolina. So the Wilmington area, the Brunswick Island area, fantastic golf region. In fact, more than half of the golf courses that Myrtle Beach likes to say are their own, they're actually on the North Carolina side. So once we're situated now with our flight options and our drive options, let's take a deep dive into North Carolina. So ferries are a great way if you're coming down and want to visit our Outer Banks area, visiting our Outer Banks and the Brunswick Islands, and even in the Inner Banks. So we have an amazing ferry system with nearly 24 boats on 7 routes that in season operate daily. So great point way of getting across the islands without having to go the causeways, when the causeways tend to be busy between mid-June and Labor Day. Great way to get across by the ferries and booking those ferries for sure. And then we have some amazing scenic drives that we'll look at throughout the presentation. Some of them are listed here, and I'll be happy to share them with the Travelweek team, but also share them with you at the end. And I will share my email address at the end. Everything from the Outer Banks Scenic Byway, the spectacular byway, which includes 21 coastal villages, miles of stunning scenery in every direction you could think of, and one of the beautiful stretches of any pavement in North Carolina or anywhere in the United States. Or you could take a drive through a coastal forest. And you see some of the images here of the coastal forest in this image right here, where you cruise by bogs, raised swamps, tidal rivers, the bog sound. You take in a vast array of wildlife playing in the water from your window, including alligators, otters, waterfowl. Other roads will take you through America's favorite drive, which is the Blue Ridge Parkway, which we'll look at as well, which lets you take sweeping vistas in from hundreds of picturesque overlooks and through wonderful national forests. And of course, Pottery Road. Pottery Road, for anybody who's familiar with pottery and furniture in North Carolina, is definitely a reference for anyone in North America. North Carolina, the Seagrove area, is known as the pottery capital of America. Thoroughfare, which is only about, I'd say about 30 miles long, so about 50 kilometers. You could spend a full day taking a glimpse into rural North Carolina and also discovering amazing work by our wonderful artists, and over 100 pottery studios that could be found in that area. And before we look a little more into detail of our 3 regions and some of the scenic drives I just mentioned, I want to show one more video. This will be the last of our videos. And this for me is our amazing video showcasing the different regions of the state, as I mentioned, from mountains all the way to the Atlantic, with a cool little vibe. I love the music, and it's typically North Carolina and very vibrant and fun. So 45 seconds of video, and let's go.
No better day, it's time to get away. I wanna see it all. The world is open wide, I wanna feel alive. I hear adventure call. Hey, hey, what are you saying? Feels like a perfect day. Get lost and find our way. We camp out in our car, sleep under the stars. Feels like the world is ours. Oh yeah. This is the good life. This is the good life. There's no better day. It's time to get away. I hear adventure call. Now the world is ours.
There we go. I love that video. It shows everything from Chimney Rock State Park, which is over almost 7,000 feet in elevation in our near the Asheville area, which is our mountainous area, of course, which is our Valley of the Waterfalls as well. We are the land of the waterfalls. And then it shows also our coastal region with our beautiful Outer Banks and Brunswick Island and the Crystal Coast, but also going through our Piedmont region with our wonderful cities and artistic cities, which are incredibly vibrant. But we will start out west in the mountains, and we'll start out west with the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Smoky Mountains, which are definitely nature's wonder, if you will. And we'll look at Asheville and the foothills in Asheville, one of the 3 cities where there are flights on connections, not direct flights from Canada, but easy connections on American and United. Asheville, if you haven't been, is a must. If you like art, so if it's a vibrant art scene, very much a new age culture, in the mountains, historic architecture, incredible art, cool little vibe, very funky, quirky. You'd absolutely love Asheville and its amazing Biltmore Resort. The high country, which is just the mile high views at Grandfather Mountain, which we'll look at. That's almost 7,000 feet in elevation, and all the wonderful outdoor adventure and sports that you could actually enjoy there, from hiking to skiing, and all the wonderful little towns with country general stores, to our Smoky Mountain and Cherokee area, which is just absolutely, it's really the first fly fishing trail in the United States and the gem capital of the world. So incredible rock formations that permit you to find all these incredible gems. So we'll take a little cross around the Blue Ridge Parkway, and we'll start with the Grandfather Mountain. So mentioned over 6,000 feet, incredible, presenting visitors with some ecologically diverse nature reserves and some of the most ecologically diverse nature reserves in North America. 360-degree views of Mile High Swinging Bridge that you see here on the left, and incredible natural wonders. As you stroll through gentle nature paths for every difficulty level, from easy all the way to advanced hiking and trails, whether it's on foot or on bikes and mountain bikes. There's so much, a little bit something for everybody. And on the right-hand side, the absolutely iconic, stunning Biltmore House, the Biltmore Estate, I should say, built by the Vanderbilt family, George Vanderbilt, just quite a while back. The 8,000-acre estate is an absolute must. It's one of the musts for me anywhere in North America. The gardens are spectacular. The home as itself, the home, is absolutely incredible, and it's different in every season. In the summer and the spring, and wonderful bloom of greens and flowers in the house always amazes. And then at Christmas time, it takes on a life of its own. The decorations are second to none. I would actually say pretty much second to none anywhere around the world of what they do at the amazing Biltmore House. And fun fact, it's the most visited private home anywhere in the Americas. So this is an incredible place to visit with the Biltmore House. So we think about other attractions across the US, for example, by far the most visited in the US is the Biltmore Estate. Spectacular resort to actually visit for sure. And there's a lot to do in that Asheville area around the Biltmore. And if we're moving on to Chimney Rock, so we mentioned Chimney Rock State Park just a couple of moments ago. For anybody looking for incredible hiking trails and looking for wonderful train rides, which are historic through beautiful mountains in the Smoky Mountains, and wonderful views, and stepping back into nature and reconvening with nature and rejuvenating yourselves. You have Asheville right next door, which is that funky, cool, artistic town, great coffee shops, great everything. And then within that area, great way to explore the area with going to Chimney Rock State Park for sure. And then waterfalls. We call ourselves the land of the waterfalls. In this area alone, there are over 360 waterfalls. So the picture you see up there is actually Dry Falls, and Dry Falls drops about 80 feet. 40 feet in distance is an actual free fall, and there's actually a trail. So people thinking, you know what, you can almost see the trail here if you're actually looking pretty closely. And if you're going across the trail, if you don't want to hike it up, you see the actual walkway right around the trail. That permits you to go right behind Dry Falls and get a view, and especially in the springtime as snow has melted up north and coming back down, the views of the water cascading in front of you at incredible speed is absolutely, I would actually, be bold enough to say a life-changing experience. And this is also very much fly fishing lover's dream, anything for outdoor adventures in this area, from hiking to boating to biking, everything from mentioned, from mountain biking to regular biking. There's just so much to do in this area, but fly fishing is definitely one of our main activities. And right now, some of you might recognize this picture. So if you're thinking of Dirty Dancing, you are correct. So Lake Lure, which is in this wonderful region here in our mountains, was the home to many filming spots for the movie Dirty Dancing. And every year in Lake Lure, the Dirty Dancing Festival goes over the weekend. And on the Saturday afternoon, every year, couples come in from across the state, across the US, and actually across the world to try to recreate that iconic lift from Dirty Dancing, and the top couple actually wins an amazing prize. So definitely come down for that. This year, it'll be in September, so September 2022 for that Dirty Dancing Festival in North Carolina. And of course, Dirty Dancing 2. Dirty Dancing, the sequel, is coming out later this year as a movie as well. As we go further down, we'll move into now our Piedmont region. So Piedmont region being our central region of the state includes all our top cities, wonderfully iconic and artistic Greensboro and Winston-Salem, which are really taking their life on their own. Pinehurst, the iconic golf course. Iconic is actually an understatement. A wonderful golf course and one of the most requested golf courses around the world, very much in demand. And actually Pinehurst number 2. There are several courses at Pinehurst. Has played host to more international golf tournaments than any other golf course in the United States. Sandhill is a great another one. We'll look at Raleigh-Durham area and the Triangle area, the technology area, and what that entails, and wonderful cities as there, culture and microbreweries, and of course the Charlotte region, which we'll get into as well. And Charlotte has an amazing art scene, shopping, botanical gardens, the U.S. National Whitewater Center, so incredible training for both professional athletes, Olympic athletes, and also for tourists who want to go down and try their hand at some wonderful whitewater rafting as well. And of course, we cannot forget NASCAR. NASCAR is synonymous with North Carolina. So looking here at some images going south on I-77 of Charlotte, and Charlotte really is a very much an iconic city. Cultural, several flights a day from Canada, wineries in the area. There's so much to do in the area. And it's also home to incredible wineries, as I mentioned, very pet friendly, and also the home of NASCAR. So we could visit NASCAR museum. We could actually go to NASCAR races and visit a lot of the paddocks of where the NASCAR teams are, where their home base is. So if you have any race car enthusiasts within your clientele, please, Charlotte is your place to go internationally for NASCAR. It's the home of NASCAR. And of course, professional sports in Charlotte, other than museums, the Michael Jordan Museum, the NCAA basketball, for anybody who likes college sports, from Duke and NC State and other iconic teams, but there's just so much more to do there in the area. So Charlotte is a great place and a great pickup point. And as you're going further down, we find ourselves in Winston-Salem. Winston-Salem being the furniture capital of the world. And there's roadside attractions like the big chairs you see here on the bottom right in Thomasville. So if you think of Thomasville and Thomasville furniture, the area around Thomasville furniture around in High Point is really the, pardon the pun, the high point for furniture makers and designers. An incredible design show, the High Point Furniture Show, which actually happens once yearly, which attracts thousands upon thousands of design enthusiasts and designers every year into North Carolina as well. And then we see on the top right, barbecue. North Carolina is synonymous with barbecue. East Coast barbecue, West barbecue are completely different. One of them is vinegar based, the other one is not. It's up to you to figure out which one you like, and we'd love to hear your opinion. And all these little barbecue joints dot the highways, of course, in the big cities as well. But as you're driving down the highway, here in Canada, we're used to seeing all the stops along the way and your Tim Hortons of the world and all that lovely stuff. But in North Carolina, we're going from west to east, stop at one of the barbecue joints and you will be amazed at the quality of amazing barbecue. And this is a great picture here of a great barbecue joint in Lexington. And then Raleigh, the Raleigh-Durham area. See an image of the Museum of Contemporary Art, Museum of Art, in actually, I should say it, in Raleigh. Beautiful indoor and outdoor space with amazing gardens and sculpture and arts indoor and out. And then Durham right next door, part of that technology triangle, which includes both Raleigh and Durham, with a great art food scene. I was just there. So just finding a very dynamic young city, and I should say young at heart, not necessarily in age, where there's music clubs and great little restaurants and a great cultural scene that you definitely needs to be discovered by adults and children of all ages. There's just so much to do in the Raleigh-Durham area for sure. As well, the Civil Rights Museum, which is situated right there. And then as we go a little further down I-95, our friends from Quebec and the Maritimes coming down south will be taking I-95. We see here, we see the image of beer at the bottom. The amount of microbreweries and independent breweries in this part of the state are immense. So great breweries to discover for those beer lovers amongst yourselves and your clients. The Wilson Whirligig Park, very much one of a kind. That's the image on the left-hand side. So it's one of a kind park in the heart of historic Wilson, just off I-95. Some really fascinating artistic, educational, and recreational opportunities. right at the intersection of art and science, and it's very cool and unique. And the top right-hand corner, that's the Airborne Special Operations Museum. So it's a 21st century interactive and immersive learning experience, highlighting over 80 years of U.S. Army Airborne Special Ops history. So any of your clients who love world history or loves that kind of experience, I think definitely, once again, right off I-95, a great stop if you're going down, but if you're actually stopping in North Carolina, a must for anybody who loves any kind of world history and military history and planes and all these wonderful, wonderful machines that have been created in the 20th century for sure. And then we talk about barbecue, the other absolute must. We talk about the home of golf and the home of barbecue, but the home of golf in North Carolina. There are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of golf courses, whether it's Sand Hills and Pinehurst, as I mentioned at the beginning, halfway between Raleigh and Charlotte, just off I-95 if you exit at Fayetteville. Pinehurst with its 5 courses is a must. There are several resorts there of various budget levels. Pinehurst, number 2, as I mentioned earlier, one of the most requested golf courses for Canadians and actually internationals to actually play in. A wait time is quite long. You can actually might have to sometimes book 9 months in advance, but there are definitely other courses at Pinehurst which are less of a wait. But Pinehurst number 2, which has played host to more golf tournaments in the United States than any other golf course, is very much in demand and absolutely spectacular and incredibly challenging. And that's Pinehurst number 2 right there, right in the center of the state. And then our last region of the state, we reach our iconic, incredible, beautiful, sandy dune shores of our barrier islands. So there are over 300 miles of barrier islands with just so much to see and do. And each one has so many different kind of activities and areas to discover, everything the Outer Banks, everywhere from Pimlico Sounds to the Inner Coast, Crystal Coast, all the way down to Brunswick Islands, just north of Myrtle Beach and the South Carolina border. And there we discover just so much. We have the image on the right-hand side there. You see some hang gliding. If you have not tried hang gliding and you're a little clumsy like myself, I definitely urge you to go to Kill Devil Hills, right in the heart of the Outer Banks. And there's wonderful, wonderful courses and classes you could take, and take hang gliding 101 or even more advanced, and discover some amazing experiences. And this is an area where the Wright brothers, so we're in the tourism industry, the Wright brothers essentially discovered or invented planes, or flight, I should say, in this part of the world. So the Outer Banks, because of their wonderful dunes, of their soft dunes, the Wright brothers, after several failed attempts, moved for quite a long time into the Outer Banks of North Carolina, just north of Kill Devil Hills, and through different experiences. And it's an amazing park, both indoors and outdoor, an indoor experience, which is a great little museum. In the outdoors, you actually see where they took off on the mountain and glided and tested those first generation planes, if you will, and really put us all into business here in the travel trade business by actually inventing flights and inventing plane rides. So you could actually do hang gliding courses there, but also experience the amazing Wright Museum and where Wright's first took flight. And also 7 lighthouses. We see that on our bottom right-hand corner on the Outer Banks, 7 incredible lighthouses. I urge you to visit all 7. You get a little stamp, great for the kids or your clients' kids, and they get a stamp every time they actually visit each one. You could fill out the booklet, be called an expert, if you will, and each lighthouse is completely different than the next in a beautiful, iconic region. And you're seeing on the top left-hand side some of our wonderful dune beaches across the Outer Banks, going down to Brunswick Island, that must be discovered. And you need to take a tour there all the way from Crowell in the north to Shackelford Banks down south. And the wild horses, if you're visiting North Carolina, whether it's the Crystal Coast or the Outer Banks a little bit further north, you need to take one of the tours, either self-guided or with a different kind of company on a 4x4, and discover the history of the amazing wild horses that came in from Spain. And they're roaming free, and you could actually visit them as you're taking your 4x4 and roaming through the sand dunes, or actually further down the Crystal Coast to beautiful marshland, bogland, which is just life affirming and really life changing to see these wonderful horses interact. Nothing to do with the zoo. They are in an actual natural nature, which is incredible. And if we go back, there's some incredible fishing and this area as well. I would say some of the best fishing anywhere in the world, with just incredible experiences to be had across this area. And exciting activities above the water, offshores, on our beaches, are expansive marshes, and then drives going from sky to fly. This is an image of the Outer Banks just north of Cape Hatteras, an area called, strangely enough, Canadian Hole. In Canadian Hole, you could go year round. I've even been there in early April, which is a little cool, and the water is a little choppy. And as you're going around the bay and around the coast, it's kind of quiet, and then you turn around and all you see are Canadian plates. The reason being, it's one of the world's preeminent spots for kite surfing, and Canadians from across the east, especially Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada, come down on successive weekends throughout the year and practice kite surfing. Kite surfing in this area is, as I said, second to none, and definitely something to experience. And right here, I'll go back just a couple of slides. You see that beach image at the top. It's not Buxton Beach, but it's very similar to Buxton Beach. Buxton Beach, right in Brunswick Islands, just north of the South Carolina border near Wilmington, were just named just last week by Dr. Beach, which many of you are familiar with, as the best beach in the United States. So quite often this is designated to beaches in Florida and other parts of the US. So Buxton Beach in the southern part of the state, the southeastern part of the state, on the Atlantic Ocean, just north of South Carolina near Wilmington, just voted for 2022 the best beach in the United States. So that's Buxton Beach. There we are. And of course, golf course, as I mentioned, a nice little slight friendly dig at our friends in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. They claim to have so many golf courses. Over half of the golf courses claimed by Myrtle Beach are actually just across the border in the Brunswick Island area, in the Crystal Coast area. So actually on the North Carolina side, that's a fun fact. So that's why we mentioned the Myrtle Beach flights on Porter down from Billy Bishop to Myrtle Beach, drive a couple of miles north and you're in wonderful North Carolina, our southern wonderful coast, and then experience these golf courses year round for us Canadians who love golf. And then as we're finishing off this presentation, and thanking you for your patience for actually staying with us, because we're sharing so much information in the last 20 some odd minutes. Right now, you're actually seeing somebody, actually sort of in reflective mode. We're talking about how North Carolina and its wonderful natural landscape lets you to reconvene with nature, lets you rejuvenate, especially as we've been at home in the last 2 years of closed in, as I mentioned, watching our Netflix, watching our streaming services, and being cut off from friends and family, nature, just taking back to experience outdoors. And I love this image of this young lady who was experiencing the outdoors, taking time to sip and reflect. She's probably, because she is in North Carolina, likelihood she is sipping moonshine, and moonshine together with our barbecue and golf are probably some of the reasons why you should visit North Carolina. It's an incredible experience, and she's definitely sitting there very reflective, and I love the image once again, sitting there sipping her moonshine and really reconvening with nature and getting back from this crazy time that we've experienced in the last 2.5 years, as I'm hoping we're all coming back. And outdoor and sea, as we're finishing this presentation, I love this image of a hammock and a woman relaxing in a hammock right in our beautiful mountainous region. And she's looking at one of these beautiful waterfalls. And what we mentioned, the land of the waterfalls, we have over 360 waterfalls in North Carolina, concentrated on our west coast near Asheville and our mountains. And we take part as Visit North Carolina. We have a division called Outdoor and Sea, promoting the outdoors and working with the Leave No Trace Foundation. Coming back from this crazy pandemic where people are finally starting to come back and ready to reconvene with nature. Some people, unfortunately, are not always very mindful of nature. So we've partnered with the educational side of Leave No Trace and through Outdoor NC to educate our travelers through great programs on our website, visitnc.com, and also the Leave No Trace Foundation for Outdoor Ethics, to really educate our travelers how to experience nature, keep nature and preserve it the way it is, clean up after yourselves, and make it wonderful and keep it wonderful for yourselves, people in North Carolina, other international travelers, and keep it like that for decades and decades, and hopefully for centuries to come. So we have some great experiences. If you visit our Outdoor NC tab on our Visit NC website. And if actually you're paying attention in the next month or so, I might be launching a little contest for that hammock right there that will be giving away for Canadians and having that experience in North Carolina. And before I leave you off and put you back in Devin's wonderful, capable hands as well, and go into a Q&A answer. This right here is Mo. So Mo is our travel agent official dog in North Carolina. So Mo is really cool. And if you're like me and many others during the pandemic, you either adopted or purchased a dog. And I want to tell you that North Carolina is incredibly dog friendly and actually very pet friendly. So Mo has been touring North Carolina in the last couple of years. And we created a job position. He's the official dog travel agent of North Carolina. He's a canine of 39 dog years. He has great experience in the field that I'm sure many of you have. And he actually has his own webpage on our website, which is visit NC/dog travel agent. So if I will be glad to share the website of how Mo could help you experience North Carolina with your four-legged friends, whether it's dogs or any other kind of pets of your choice. We are very, very, very pet friendly. Of course, being outdoor friendly, that is who we are. So from the mountains all the way to regions. And last tip for travel pros, we have so much to offer. We want you to know about North Carolina, sell North Carolina, but we want you to maximize your profits. So some suggestions are here, and I'd be glad to share by email. If you're looking at making commissionable bookings or net fare bookings and adding your own commission on, hotels are available through some select partners, much more than this, but I'm highlighting here kind of vacations, Travelweek Montreal, Travel Brands, Kensington, Expedia Tap, Beds Online, and so forth and so on. Expedia Tap and Beds Online for apartments, great excursions and transfers. Oh, that's my French spelling right there. I apologize for transfers. So Skylink Montreal, Travel Brands, and so much more, and Viator as well. And great golf operators across Canada. I mentioned 3, but there are actually quite a few dozen Canadian operators. So that brings us to roughly about 35 minutes. I think I got through all that in about 35 minutes and sharing a lot of information. And thank you once again for your patience. My name is Costa. My email address is very straightforward. Costa with a K at reachglobal.ca. And I think that's sort of it for me, but more importantly, I'd like to hand it off to Devin and go into a question period, because hopefully you all have some questions, or once again, maybe overwhelm you with information, but definitely thank you for sticking by us. And we'll actually be picking a winner for the contest as well at the end of this. And the contest, once again, as Devin mentioned, we're giving away both a $100 gift card for Lululemon to enjoy the outdoors of wonderful NC, and also one of our great chefs, a local chef, Ashley Christensen. She has a new cookbook out. It's called It's Always Freezer Season, and we'll be giving that away to the winner as well. So Devin, with that, I'll hand it off back to you.
Thank you, Costa. That was a beautiful overview of the state. It provided a lot more information. I knew it was a great state, but it kind of like filled in some of the details for me. Travel agents, if you have any questions, please put it in the question and answer box, and we're going to go through them. My first question is, what time of year does it become kind of swimming weather when you can really start beach activities?
It depends on what your comfort level is. So I've been in April. I'm one of those Canadians who love my water a little bit warmer than most, but I've been in April with Canadians who actually get in there in late March, early April. If you're looking for a beach activity, I think April is great. If you're looking at warmer weather, I would say from Memorial Day weekend, or pretty much from Canadian Victoria Day weekend onwards, if you want the weather to be warmer. But as I mentioned in the presentation, if you're not looking to just lay there on the beach, but being more active, if you're looking at surfers, kite surfers specifically, the Canadian kite surfers currently go down pretty much year round, even in February and March. A little bit chilly for me to be in the water, but with their bodysuits, it's incredible. The first time I went down to the Outer Banks, I remember it being 2007, I believe. And my colleague at the time, who was my colleague now, because obviously I've changed field, she says, look out for it, look out for it, look out for it. So we went from nothing to seeing dozens upon dozens of Ontario and Quebec plates of all the kite surfers who drive down. So there's some hardy Canadians that go down in February, March. I would suggest more May, depending if you're like me or not, but May through all the way mid-October. But for other sports, instead of getting in the water, fishing and boating and kite surfing and surfing pretty much February to November. For those who are looking for beach experience, I would say mid-May to mid-September.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how big your budget is for a wetsuit. Really, you can go in any time of year, right?
I totally agree
Just
with
like
you.
we go in Lake Ontario every once in a while.
Absolutely, for sure. It depends your threshold there.
Yeah, I've met quite a few kiteboarders over the past few years, and this is like really the world-renowned destination for this sport. So
Yeah,
everyone
kiteboarding
wants
and
to.
also fishing as well. I mean, every time I go down, I'm just amazed at pretty much year round the amount of fishermen that are there. It's just really quite something. And yeah, absolutely. Just anybody who likes nature and that kind of activity, as involved as you want to be or less involved, I think it's just a phenomenal destination.
Okay, Lena would like to know, how long is the drive from the mountains to the coast?
Mountains to the coast, I would say roughly about 4.5 to 5 hours. So if I'll put it halfway through. So if you're going, I would say more than 5 hours, a little bit over 5 hours. So it's pretty much the distance between Toronto and Montreal, if you want to put it that way. That's a good way of actually probably describing it. Depending on traffic, if you're landing in the middle part of the state, Raleigh, Durham, if you're flying down, if you're flying to Raleigh and you want to go out the Outer Banks, roughly about 3 hours, and about almost 2.5 hours the other way, 2.5 hours. So the distance between Toronto and Montreal. But you rarely drive it in one shot because there's so much to do. I'm not trying to exaggerate it, but it really is just so much to do with beautiful vantage points and vistas to stop along the way, because the topography changes immensely between the mountains and the coast.
So if you were to recommend kind of like a road trip route, how would you suggest people drive?
I think it would depend on what somebody's likes are. So if it's snowbirds, obviously, I would definitely recommend something around I-95. And we actually have a newsletter put together just recently that I could share as well with our people who are actually on the webinar today. I could share with you, Devin, as well. You could share with them. And we have tons of experiences on 95 or on 77 and the rest of it. If they're looking for adventure, so they're looking for mountain biking and kayaking and rafting and hiking, definitely along the mountains. If they're looking for the arts feel, if you're looking for sports fans from college all the way to sport to pro, definitely go to the Piedmonts. But if you're a family looking to experience, or couples, I should say, and even families together on the coast and golfers, definitely go more towards the coast. Very important on the coast. We have homes for rental, and I actually have many companies to share. They go from 2-bedroom all the way to 16-bedroom. So you could actually go in with a very, very large extended family. So if you're thinking of your typical Nicholas Sparks kind of movie of that kind of stuff, and we know what that's all like, those wonderful romantic comedies, and we see those beautiful homes, that is the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So those wonderful homes are there. If you're traveling July, early August, I definitely urge you to book many months in advance. But if you're traveling in off season, May, September, which I love, and even April and October, definitely you don't have to book that much in advance, and you get a great experience as a couple or as a group of friends and families, for sure. But it all depends. I mean, yeah, so it's hard to do a typical road trip. It will all depend what somebody's likes are. And if you as travel agents are looking at suggestions, I am not here to sell. That's not what I do. Our team at Visit North Carolina are here to help you maximize your profits, help you get the sale, and we work in the background to assist you. That's our main goal. By being here in Canada, whether you're from all the way from Yukon, all the way down in Newfoundland, we're here to help our travel agent friends across Canada. We mentioned some of the tour operators, and this is just a small selection. And please apologize if I forgot your favorite tour operator. It's a small suggestion of which tour operators across Canada or FIT operators could help you build the vacation based on your client's themes, or likes, I should say, and budget.
Okay, travel agents, I'm going to give you one more chance to ask any questions. Why don't we just spell out some of the rules and regulations in regards to COVID? I know flying into the US, you still need an antigen test. Driving into the US, you do not need anything. Is there any state rules and regulations we should be aware of?
State rules and regulations, no. Like most part of the US, the rules have been relaxed. I will have to say our Piedmont region which includes our two largest cities, Charlotte and Raleigh. A lot of activities, restaurants, several activities in restaurants still require masks, and that's their personal choice. When you start heading down towards the mountains and the Outer Banks, not really many major cities there, and you're really in the outdoors. That is not the same thing. That's a lot more relaxed there. But in Raleigh and in Charlotte, a little bit, you'll find more masks there. But as generally as is the case across the US, the mask mandate has been relaxed tremendously. And as you mentioned, Devin, correct, if you are flying down, you still need the antigen test. And if you're driving down, you do not. So yeah, we're still in that position. We're hoping, and I do not have a date, and everybody keeps asking me for my crystal ball prediction. We do not know, unfortunately, when the US federal government will remove the antigen requirement from Canada. It's one of those things. Hopefully it's coming very soon.
Yeah, I haven't even heard like rumblings or rumors about that, and it's surprising that in Canada we were such a fortress for so long, and then we reduced our requirements earlier than the US did. So I'm sure they're coming along shortly.
I'll give you a couple of tips. I've been down the US numerous times in the last few weeks. I was actually just in the US leading a team of Canadian media and tour operators for a fan, which we're very likely and happy to do for North Carolina. So if you're on this webinar today, please reach out to me and we'd love to put you on the list. We're seeing it change dramatically. We're seeing a lot of openness. One thing I urge you, if you're going through Pearson at the moment, I know we saw some stories on Canadian travel trade, including Travelweek in the last little while. Please get there in advance. Like every other industry, including our own, whether it's in hotels or tour operators, everyone is lacking in terms of staffing. So border services on both directions are stretched thin, like many of us are. So always, as we're asking our clients to be lenient with us in the travel trade by saying we are overextended, please be also very lenient to our border services, both on the Canadian side and the American side. The waits are long. Montreal, I believe, and Vancouver, and possibly Calgary on most days are better, but Pearson at the moment is still an issue. Please arrive a good 2 hours in advance. We don't want you missing out on a great holiday because you arrived a little bit late. It's very important just to say that to your clients, repeat that to them. Some of them will roll their eyes and they'll say, why should I arrive at Pearson 3 hours in advance? Please urge them to do so at the moment. Lines at US Customs are long. Hopefully they'll be resolved in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, that's a good tip for someone who's been out there. Okay, we're wrapping up here. Why don't you do your final pitch on why the state, North Carolina, is so fabulous and why we should be sending people there?
It's fabulous for the people. We're right starting to get into the South, so we'll have that little idea of what the Southern sensibility tends to be. It's incredibly artistic. It's green. It's wonderfully lush. Our cities are vibrant. I would say Raleigh is considered the Smithsonian of the South, with the amount of museums, incredible museums. For sports fans, both college spectator sports, but also sports enthusiasts, everything from playing golf to seeing an NFL game, an NHL game, or college sports like Duke and NC State. And there's just so much more. And NASCAR, how could I forget NASCAR? Barbecue, if you're a lover of food, North Carolina is it. And you'll get to compare East and West and tell us what you prefer. Our barbecue is amazing. And the Asheville area, anyone who's a new age lover of yoga and outdoors and crystals and being in that sort of nature of reconvening with nature, you cannot beat Asheville and the mountains region and the Outer Banks. There's nothing like waking up in the Outer Banks. Forget about summer, because summer is what it is on the coast, and we all love that. Getting out in the middle of April and getting out, waking up when the sun is rising at 5:30 in those sand dunes, and the walks are really quite life-changing. And you're seeing the fishermen, but it's quiet, and the birds and the waves crashing. We've seen it in other states, but I think North Carolina, it's really quite unique.
Okay, well, that's very inspiring. Hopefully, now that the pandemic is winding down, you'll be seeing a lot more Canadians at the airports in North Carolina, and maybe some Ontario or Quebec and Ontario license plates as well. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Costa. We really appreciate it. And thank you all to the travel agents out there. We are going to draw the winner for the cookbook and the Lululemon gift card, and we're going to reach out to you afterwards if you're the winner. So thank you so much for being with us today, and we'll see you on another Travel Week webinar. And of course, if you need any more information about North Carolina, please reach out to Costa.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.